What's up, Tweener heads? Welcome back to another Tweener head tennis video. And if you are new to the channel and if you just joined us here, hi, how's it going? My name's Phil and I'm the original Tweener head. Here we just talk about tennis in a more fun way. So if you are new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button so that way you don't miss any new videos that we're making. Now today we are back in my room. We are back from Europe. I've had a very long day and Roland Garros is still going on, and I've just been watching tennis, kind of just taking my mind off it. I also had to start a new Instagram, unfortunately. So if you want to go follow the new one, check the link down below and go follow it. I would love for you guys to follow me on my Instagram so that way you get to see behind the scenes of where we are and what we're doing on a weekly and daily basis. So make sure you go follow it, link in the description below. Today I found an interesting article on how clay court players, and I want to know your guys' opinion too, clay court players that have been grown up and played on clay courts at a young age, they develop a better and more physical game than someone that grew up on hard court. Now I found this article interesting. It's by a woman named Liz Clark from the Washington Post, and I particularly enjoyed it because it breaks down things that I personally thought were correct, and I personally think that every tennis player growing up has and should do. And I think for me at least, for kids to start playing tennis on clay, it develops their game a lot faster and physically, and develops them to be physically stronger and mentally on another level, because clay court doesn't have to rely on pure athleticism, which I think US tennis is kind of moving towards that level. And what have been teaching kids, if they have the physical ability, then they will favor them, and if they see better results on hard court, just because they can hit harder, serve harder, they favor them in some way because they want to see them succeed because of their physical attributes more than their tactical attributes. Because I think what this article has laid out is, on clay, you can develop tactically a lot better on clay. In this article, they have a quote from a coach, Jose, who is a Spanish player who then develops at the USTA Tennis Center, who talks about how you can develop a higher IQ when it comes to growing up on clay and playing on clay at such a young age. It awakens your tennis IQ, that's what I would say. Obviously, if you learn how to play on clay, it teaches you better strategy. The surface forces you to build the points. You cannot get away with a big serve because the ball is going to come back. It forces you to actually develop strategy, better movement, and better concepts. Now, I completely agree with this statement, because if you just develop, and I think a lot of people got into this very quickly, and I think you can see this at a younger age, especially at the USTA level, people that hit harder, play harder, tend to do a lot better at a younger age because people haven't developed a physical game later on in life. So when you're in the 12s, 14s, and maybe 16s, if you hit harder, you win a lot more. But then at 18s, when you start to build strategy, incorporate that strategy within your game, you have the ability to play better when you have something going on and you say, okay, this is my game plan, I'm going to execute my game plan from here on out. On clay, you need that a lot more, and you need that immediately when you start playing, because you're not just going to hit the ball harder. If you hit the ball harder, it's just going to come straight back to you. You can't just hit the ball as hard as you can. You need to figure out, all right, if I move him here, stick to this, keep hitting it to his backhand, keep hitting it to his forehand, and then move him around. Like, you have to figure out how to beat him instead of just beating him with physical strength. And that's something I saw at a young age when I was growing up overseas. Everyone was playing on clay. No one was actually hitting harder. Everyone was just moving people side to side, which I think was better at a sense, because that way you know what to do in the right scenario. Because when I moved back to the States, everyone was hitting harder. Everyone was hitting at a harder pace. No one was hitting with slice, really. It was variety. It developed a lot more variety within your game if you've grown up on clay, just because the way you had to play against your opponents. The article goes on to talk about how only 3 American men have won the French Open title: Jim Courier, Michael Chang, and Andre Agassi. And Michael Chang even says that when he was younger, at the age of 17, he was one of the youngest to ever win the title. He says that it was a very big learning curve when you first come onto the clay. I didn't know the best way to play on it. I'd play on it like a hard court, and when I did that, I get in trouble because I'd be out of position. Because when you hit hard and you don't develop the right kind of strategy on hard court, you expect the ball not to come back to you. Like I said before, if you're going to hit it hard, it's definitely going to come back to you immediately. So I think that was an interesting thing to think about, because in the men's game, it's very hard to see American men do well on clay. I think we're seeing a lot more recently do a lot better on clay, but this past French Open, 7, I think, lost in the first round, and then Taylor Fritz was the only one to make it to the second round, and then he lost. On the women's side, it's a lot different, because this year we saw Sloane Stephens, Madison Keys, and 17-year-old Amanda Anisimova make it to the quarterfinals or better. For me, at least, on the women's game, it's a lot different, because a lot more women have that ability to add more variety to it, and the more variety within the women's game, the better chance you have of winning. But at the same time, I think Chrissy Everett summed it up the best in this article when she said, "You learn how to construct a point better on clay. It takes thinking ahead. It's like a chess match, thinking ahead maybe a shot or two. If I drop shot now, she'll pull in, and you better be fit enough to hit 12 or 13 shots instead of 3 or 4. It takes fitness and patience to win a point on clay." I completely agree with this statement, just because the physical aspect, like I've been saying this whole entire video, the physical aspect is something that you have to get used to. You can be physically fit and move to side for 3 to 4 shots, especially on hard court, because the harder you hit, the faster the ball's going to get by you. But on clay, if you hit the ball faster, you're still going to be playing another 3 to 4, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 shots afterwards, because you're not going to assume that you're going to win the point immediately. So physical fitness definitely is a better way to improve your physical fitness is definitely training on clay. Now, if we take it back a little bit to green clay, I would say, or hard true in the sense, which is, by the way, not real clay. In my mind, hard true is not real clay. It's green clay. I think when I was in Charleston, a lot of the players were saying it's the perfect surface to transition from hard court to red clay, because you get to figure out your movement, you get to figure out your strategy, and you just get to work on your footwork, because you're not on hard court, you're not on real clay. It's a faster clay, so it kind of plays differently, but it has the aspects of clay that'll allow you to develop your game for the French Open and all these other tournaments in Europe. I think this is why Europeans do so well on red clay, and Americans haven't been getting up to the level of Europeans or anyone else on clay, is because they train on red clay, they have better physical movement on the clay, and I think it just develops their game overall. And I think you can see not just on clay when they play, but the Europeans at least, you can see them play well on other surfaces, because they started on the original surface that they started on was red clay, and it can contribute. It can move on and transition to other surfaces, which allows them to play better than some of the Americans and other players from around the world. I completely agree with this article. I'll leave a link to the description of the article. If you guys want to read it, it'll be down below in the description. I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think? Is developing your game on red clay better than developing your game on hard court? Is it better to play on this surface? So many questions that I want to ask you guys, but I want to hear from you guys essentially. So leave a comment down below, and make sure you hit that like button, as well as subscribing to Tweener Tennis, so that way you can join the Tweener Tennis family here on YouTube. So if you want to check us out on all our social medias, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, our new Instagram as well, click the link down below in the description, so that way you can follow it. TweenerHeadTennis.com, our website. You can check out photos, articles, everything from behind the scenes on our website as well. So I hope to see you guys soon. Thanks, guys.